We have terrorists in our country by the thousands. We have murderers in our country by the tens of thousands. We have numbers that came out, 11,000 people that murdered are now free and walking around in our country. And
the great irony here being that Trump literally did just release a bunch of violent thugs to the streets with the J6 pardons, literally 1,500 people, many of whom were convicted for violent offenses. He literally just did the biggest mass release of violent prisoners in recent memory. I'm sure if you go back in history, you could find a larger example, but this is definitely up there.
And, people, they've emptied their jails. I would, if I were the president or prime minister or something of another country, I'd empty my jails right into America, into the United States. Why not? And many of them did it. If you look at Venezuela, their crime rate is down now 78%. Because
I maintain, as always, that I no longer have any obligation to disprove anything that he's saying, because he lies literally everything he said. He just doesn't say anything that's truthful, so you should just always assume what he says is wrong. What are you going to do? Get confronted on this by a MAGA family member? Ask them for a source. I don't fucking... The burden of proof is on them, okay? What work is there for me to do? He says he won the youth vote by 38 points. What's my debunk there? No, he didn't? Well, there's your debunk, I guess.
As you know, we had a great election in 2016. I had a much better election in 2020. And if I didn't have that election, I wouldn't have run. If I thought that I didn't get the number of votes, and it was reported that I got almost 75 million votes, and that was their numbers. That wasn't the numbers, that was their numbers. That was more than anybody has gotten in history, any sitting president had ever gotten. And you lost. Had I gotten like 50 million or 40 million or 60 million, I would never have run. But that was like a poll. So, but I had a different attitude. Too big to rig.
Poll came out.
I do think there's an indictment here that even though Joe Biden won by a significant margin, he should have won by an even more significant margin, you know? Or not Joe Biden, but a candidate. I still maintain that even in 2020, Bernie Sanders could have swept the floor, assuming the DNC worked with him. Now, in reality, the DNC probably would have sabotaged him constantly, wouldn't have afforded him as much positive airtime as he deserved, would have undercut him at every turn. But if they showed the support for him they did for Joe Biden, I think that he would have won by much greater margins, not just by exceeding Joe Biden's vote count in 2020, but by taking away a bunch of Donald Trump's votes, you know? Because a bunch of his messaging on DNC establishment liberals trying to go after him for saving the country or whatever, it just doesn't work as well against Bernie. It just doesn't, you know? It just doesn't.
You know, I had FEMA working really well. We had hurricanes in Florida. We had Alabama tornadoes. But unless you have certain types of leadership, it gets in the way. And FEMA is going to be a whole big discussion very shortly because I'd rather see the states take care of their own problems. If they...
Ooh. This is like some unironic fall of the Union shit right here. This is like an actual, collapse of the United States type thing here. The cost of climate disasters already exceeds state budgets for repairs and recovery in many cases, and it's only going to get worse with time. So, yeah, this is, hey, listen, man, California can afford to take care of its own natural disasters. It's the wealthiest state. North Carolina cannot. Not even close. So...
I love Oklahoma, but you know what? If they get hit with a tornado or something, let Oklahoma fix it. You don't need...
Ooh. Red flags to the red state governors too? What's the Oklahoma's budget for natural disaster and recovery? Like $5, do you think? Fell for it again? Ooh, I don't know. Sorry, man. Dude, how do you think they're going to pay for all the upcoming tax cuts to wealthy people? You think they're going to... No, they're going to cut FEMA, dude.
Look, Gavin's got one thing he can do. He can release the water that comes from the north.
The water.
There's massive amounts of water, rainwater and mountain water that comes due with the snow, comes down as it melts. There's so much water, they're releasing it into the Pacific Ocean. And I told him, it's a political thing for the Democrats. I don't know.
I played the tape. You said it to him in front of him in 2018.
I said it to him in front of the media and everything else, and nobody talks about it. The media never picks it up. You put it out. I was so happy to see that.
The fuck is he talking about? He's because California is like the big thorn in his side because it's massive and very wealthy and blue. He had to think of something to like pick an indefinite fight over, like with California over. And the thing that he settled on is that California has magic untapped water that it's decided not to use for agriculture and irrigation and such for no reason. That's the thing that he settled on here. Is he making shit up? Yes. California's water resources and where they go and how they're managed are incredibly complicated. I don't pretend to be an expert on it. I promise you that Gavin Newsom does not have like a river that could supply all of California that he is just deciding to dump into the ocean for no reason. Obviously. But, you know.
This is the only group of people that want to raise your taxes. They say we want to raise your taxes. You know, if they don't work with us on the Trump tax cuts extending, that would mean we go back to the taxes. We got the largest tax cut in history. That would mean the taxes would go up more than any tax hike in the
Trump literally raised taxes in the lower class. Oh, and taxes are going to go up further. Don't get it twisted, okay? The tax cuts they're going to pass on the wealthy, like this money needs to come from somewhere. And it's not coming from the military, you know? You've got entitlements and you've got raising taxes, you know, you've got such and such. It's gonna get bad. I can only listen. Please like, subscribe, and donate so I fit in the tax bracket that's not hit by this. Unfortunately, they're probably just gonna go after like capital gains and corporate taxes and stuff like that. I don't know if they're going to cut like the upper margin of the, you know, like the upper brackets, because that doesn't even make you rich anymore, man. Like to be rich enough to be an ally to the Trump administration, that's not like $500,000 a year territory anymore. Now you have to be like multi-millionaire, you own a private island, you have a yacht. Like and this is what the accumulation of capital looks like. Before, it's like, okay, if you make $150,000, $200,000 a year or more, you're in the club. Now it's like you need to actually be a fucking oligarch to be up here. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
I'm watching now. Now it's time, and you know, a few months have passed, and the election's over, and you see what happened, and it was a rout. I won all 7 swing states, and we won by millions of votes. The popular vote, millions.
5%.
And
win.
Nobody can even believe some of the numbers.
One of the closest elections ever.
With African Americans, with Hispanics, with everything, how well we did. Nobody can believe the numbers. How about with youth? I won youth by 36.
Yeah. People are going to believe this shit, man. Already 100 million Americans believe this because he keeps saying it.
6 points.
Now, I would imagine if you came from Iran and Syria and Egypt and Afghanistan and Russia and China and Venezuela, you didn't come here because you want a better life for your children. I would imagine those known terrorists are planning an attack on our homeland.
Yeah, dude. That me when I watch Way the Fuck Too Much 24 in Homeland.
At a moment's notice, you're going to be in this desk, maybe sitting at this desk, or maybe up in the residence, and they're going to call you down in the Situation Room.
Yeah, fear-mongering 101. Yeah, remember, like everything, all of the deportations, all the military spending, it can only be maintained if the citizenry are kept in a constant state of terror over, you know, Muslim, Venezuelan, terrorist cartel murder cells, Islamically detonating bombs in women's bathrooms. It's been like this for decades, man. It's just, it feels so much more, I don't know, quaint now that half the Republican Party has swapped from that kind of messaging to just full on like neo-Nazi, you know, we will eradicate the Untermenschen type bullshit. You know what I mean? Like now it's like, okay, this is like Bush administration shit. What are you going to do next? Send them to Gitmo? Like, come on. We know what this is about.
Prisons from all over the world have been emptied out into our country by Biden.
Biden did that? Holy shit. This guy's power level grows whenever you're not looking at him. I thought he was like an inept, dementia-stricken, senile old man. I didn't realize that he was fucking personally busting open prisons across SEAL Team 6 and Biden together. Jesus Christ. Yeah, he's all powerful when you're not looking at him.
I don't understand. Why does somebody want open borders where, and they say the vote, okay, but I did well with the Hispanic vote. If you're looking at Hispanic, they say they do it because they want to think they're going to stay in power. It's going to be better for Democrats. I don't really believe that. Besides that, they cheat so much. They don't have to do that. They cheat so well. They're very good at cheating. The only thing they're good at really is cheating. But here's the thing I ask. Why would somebody say that open borders are good, where jails and mental institutions from other countries and gang members right off the streets of the toughest cities in the world are being brought to the United States of America and emptied out into our country. Why would anybody that even likes, you don't have to love our country.
That moment when the propaganda that you've constructed is so delusional and unbelievable that it's actually genuinely difficult to sell to people and to yourself. Like, you have to reflect for a second, like, maybe this cartoonish, insane, contradictory, mutually exclusive nonsense theory that I've devised with no empirical backing, like, maybe we've overstepped, but they never do, right? It's like the Hitler big lie thing, you know, like the way you get inoculated to lies past a point. The more you lie, the more you sort of like wear your constituents down to make them distrustful of truth. You can just say anything, you know? You tried talking with a Trump supporter lately? Barely even like communicable, you know? I have seen so many people on Twitter, because my family's based, but like I've seen so many people on Twitter who are like, I tried to explain to my dad that Donald Trump just revoked the Lyndon B. Johnson Equal Employment Opportunities Executive Order from 1965, or that he's trying to define birthright citizenship out of existence in a violation of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. And it's the Trump supporting family member is always like, I don't believe that. That's fake. Okay. I mean, like, they're saying it on the White House website, whitehouse.gov. I have to say, the biggest takeaway here, the shift in discourse where, and keep in mind, Republican leaders know that climate change is real. They're aware of that fact. Like, Exxon has known about this since, like, God, I don't know, the 60s or whatever. They know about this. The big pointer to me here is that as climate change gets worse and these disasters keep coming and coming, they get more and more expensive. This is probably like the biggest breaking point, you know? This is what I mean about fascist rhetoric clashing with reality, because there is nothing they can do to stop. Well, there are things they could do to stop or at least mitigate the effects of climate change. They're just not doing it. It's going to be an issue. This might be a stupid question, but do you think in the future they'll shift to eco-fascism? No, eco-fascism has never been a real thing. In reality, like, fascism demands the cruel, myopic, anti-empiricist worldview that allows you to, like, just continue fucking the planet. Eco-fascism has always been, like, I don't know, the cope of people who think they're smarter than the average fascist. It's like Peter Thiel, Great Cathedral shit, you know? Oh, yeah, I'm not like that racist rabble. Sure, my outcomes and positions are racist, but I do it in a smart way. That's why I'm not like a crazy fundy on stuff like evolution, you know? It's bullshit. They never actually, it never pans out that way, you know? There are lots and lots of authoritarians around the world, and they're all chauvinist about the environment.